Welcome to our weekly new global media talk show. Today is August 24th, 2025. Today we're going to discuss in depth about the ID card issue that is happening, the issuance of ID card outside the Gambia. This is a very unusual and unprecedented operation that we the Gambians need to look into and see why is now and what it entails. In addition, we're going to look at tribal politics, especially from our people in office. How how is this coming to the front of this political debate, and why our political leaders engage in this? So we are gonna look at this in depth, and I have my co-host Sam Ceesay. Sam, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm your host here, Momodou Sawaneh, in New York. Thank you. So, Sam, we can
Yeah,
just dive into these two critical issues that we are facing, and is this is the right time to speak up and sensitize our people about the importance of our national document. Our national document should not be taken for granted. It should not be given to people who are not entitled to it or who don't deserve it. And beside, the way it is given need to be scrutinized to make sure that it is done fairly and squarely. This become an emerging issue because it is unprecedented. We have seen two generations of leadership or two republics before this third republic, and we haven't seen such an operation to this capacity. So if we as in citizens don't talk about it, it could be detrimental to our future or to our children. In addition, tribal politics has always been the forefront of Jammeh's tactic, and now we have seen President Barrow and his supporters often engage in such. Since the last election, we've seen those happening. And Gambian, we are one family. Some of us has backgrounds in different tribes. We are a mix of different tribes. So you cannot just come and then try to implement tribalism for self-gain just to be able to get votes. So this is something that we have to stand to the nail to make sure our people don't fall into this crap. So I let you now, Sam Ceesay, to come in and then give your thoughts on these two areas. We can go back and forth. Thank you.
yep. Thank you, Mr. Sawaneh. And I know it's a good Sunday here as well in Indiana, and a great day with a nice sunshine and not too hot at all. It's actually cooling down, so I enjoy that. I like that. Today's topic is very important, and or topics are very important. I know I've spoke about one of these, the issuance of ID cards to people that they call Gambians that are sitting or in the diaspora in the surrounding countries in within the African region there. I spoke about this before. I think is something that's very alarming, especially when we are facing election time. And the mindset that everybody is going to have is they issuing these ID cards to people that are non-Gambians, possibly non-Gambians, so that they can equip them to be able to also register for voter cards, to be able to get voter registration cards in order to vote during the 2026 elections. And this is something that is really uncalled for. It's something that shouldn't be happening. You know, like I always say, when you're in leadership, consistency is very important. You've got to be consistent. If you're not going to go to all diaspora countries in the diaspora to issue ID cards, don't start. That's the period. That's it, period. Don't start. Unless you can go to each and every country and do that. And even that is a waste of our resources, a waste of our money, a waste of our taxpayers' funds. No country in the world that I know of goes out to different countries to find their people and issue them ID cards. For what reason? That's the purpose of the embassies. If for some reason a Gambian sitting in Mauritania, say they lost their ID card, or lost their say ID card, because that's what they issue. I'll talk about that. What they should really do is go to the Gambian embassy or consulate, the nearest Gambian embassy, since Gambia doesn't have a consulate or embassy in every country, but there's always another embassy supporting another part. So what they really should do is go to the Gambian embassy, nearest Gambian embassy or consulate, and present their birth certificate, indicating that they, or their passport, indicating that they are from the Gambia, they lost their ID card, and they would like to have their ID card, so that a Gambian embassy can help them, especially if it's a passport. They can help them. Passport would be one thing that you can't travel without. So if, say, they lost a travel document, they go to the embassy, and the embassy will identify them by making sure that they produce one of their identities, like a birth certificate, a copy of the passport, or something that shows that they're Gambian citizens. And then once that is done, the embassy or consulate can help them send that information to the Gambia. If they cannot process them there because they don't have the resources, they will be able to send them to Gambia to get those processed and then sent back. This is what other countries do. A lot of countries do that. They do things through their embassies, but the country does not send representatives, especially immigration officials, to go to another country to issue your country's ID. What does that ID actually do for those people? That ID card is no use there in that country other than identifying you. And because everyone that travels, you travel outside of your country to another country. The country that is the host country will require you to have their documents, not your document. They want to identify you with their documents. Yes, first, you need to produce your own documents from your original country, or place of birth, or country of birth, and bring those in to be able to apply for documents for that particular country that you're residing. Once you get those, then your ID card from Gambia is of no use anymore. They don't need them anymore. So why would our country send our immigration officials, use our resources, and of course they're going to pay them per diem, all the travel expenses, including per diem, that they're going to pay to go register people. In the past, what we've seen is what we've heard also is in the news is this happened in the past where they registered people that don't belong to Gambia. Some may be Gambian citizens, but collecting those registration cards to be able to add to the president's or incumbents' voters' cards so that they can win. This is very unfair. It shouldn't be happening. And like I said, it's a waste of our resource. No country should be doing this. And unfortunately, in Gambia, we have our lawmakers there that are not really representing the people, even though they were elected by the people to go represent the people. But sometimes some of them, not all of them, some of them are there for their own pocket. Some of them are there for themselves, not for the people that elected them. But otherwise, they should unanimously condemn this act and tell the government, no, you cannot send our immigration officials to go out to issue ID cards. If those out there, if they need their ID card, let them contact Gambian embassy or consulate, or contact their own people. Send their copies of their passports, birth certificates, and things like that to be able to obtain their Gambian ID cards or something like that. Or wait until the next time they come to Gambia, because they can travel to Gambia with a passport, not with an ID card. They don't need an ID card to travel back to another country. No matter what ID card you have in the world, does not let you into the United States. You have to have a United States document to get into the United States, right? Every country is like that. If you go to Mauritania, you're going to stay there, you're going to reside in Mauritania or Angola or Mozambique, Zimbabwe, wherever it is, you need to be able to show that you have a legal resident cards to stay there, or some kind of a work permit or some kind of permit to be able to stay there. Not a Gambian permit, not a Gambian document. So why are they doing it? It shouldn't be happening. And our National Assembly should intervene and stop the government from doing this.
Very good. So Sam, quickly, This is unprecedented. We have seen two republics, Jammeh's republic and the Second Republic, and then the First Republic. This kind of operation has never taken place to the capacity that we are seeing it. Like you said, if you are in a foreign country and you're a Gambian, all you have to do is to show a proof that you are a Gambian, and then they can give you a temporal document,
Yep.
even a temporal document to travel, so that you can renew it in the Gambia. But
Yep.
the fact that they're gonna go and go with the immigration officers and then give ID cards
Yep.
to those, how are what kind of documents are they looking? And then why is it that the ID card, to look for ID card in the Gambia is even harder and easier? People have been applying for ID card for months and months and months. You are not even getting those folks their ID cards. If you are talking about effectiveness, those folks have been waiting. You should have been giving them their ID cards, in a
Yep.
matter of, blink of an eye. But that has not even been happening. You said you're gonna go out to give ID cards to others that are out of the country. What urgency would that need, and what are the documentations required for that anybody could believe in?
Yep, yep. You see, and that's something I mentioned also too, and I'm glad you brought that up. You just reminded me because, yes, I personally actually have heard in my group that there are people that actually went to apply for the ID cards in the Gambia, and they collected their money, gave them receipts. They said they have to come back another time. They were out of something, or they could not produce ID cards. So it really became very dubious to see the government leaving those people in the country and going out to go issue ID cards to people that are outside of the country. So you have people in the country that are waiting, that are in line every day, some that have already paid and
Yeah,
waiting for their ID card. And you
yeah,
told them you don't have any ID card. You don't have the either the resource or the materials or tools and technology you need to be able to produce the people for the people, and instead you're going out of the country to issue the same ID card. What's the difference? So it really shouldn't be happening. That's why I said the National Assembly should be. And not only that, in fact, political parties have the right to interject here and say, why are we doing this? What is this ID card for? Because that ID card is what they all know, that is what people are going to turn into or present to be able to get voter registration card. And I also mentioned this before. I will be surprised if after issuing all these ID cards to these people in the West African region there, I'll be surprised if I don't see IEC also getting up and say, well, it's time for voter registration. Now it's our turn. We're going out to Angola. We're going to Mauritania. We're going to all of these places to issue voter registration cards. That should not be done. Really should not be done. So
so
this needs to be nipped in the bud. Our political party leaders need to, run to the courts and tell the courts that this is something that shouldn't be happening.
very good, very good,
Especially the National Assembly is not stepping up.
very good. So one thing that I would like to point out, as you mentioned, the what is the urgency in doing this, and why now?
Well,
Especially
yeah.
the election is just like a
Yep.
year away.
Yep, yep, yep. So that is what brings to everybody's people's mind. In other words, I'll say this is what makes people think this is happening now because the election is next year. So they want to register these people, is to give them ID cards so they can register to have registration cards. When they have the voter registration cards, they can collect those voter registration cards and add them to the incumbents card. Or that time of election, they will also use our resource to transport all of these people and bring them into the country to go vote because they have our ID card. See what I mean? So this is something that can really backfire. It can really backfire, and it shouldn't be happening. Like I said, our National Assembly need to stop it. Political party leaders and political parties need to rally behind this and say, you know what, they need to come together and say this shouldn't be happening. If you're going to do it, you're going to go to every country and do it. If you can do that, Well, even that, they would say, before doing that, why don't you issue ID cards to those in the country? The ones sitting in the country waiting for their ID card. Why don't you give it to them first until you cover them? Then travel. Even the travel, I don't think the National Assembly will approve that budget for them to travel to other countries, including USA, because if you start traveling to issue ID cards, you got to go to every country. If you cannot go to every country, don't start it. That's what consistency is about. And any leader in any leadership role, any government, really need to treat the people fairly, treat them right, and treat them equally, and be fair to them and be honest to the people. Yep. So it shouldn't be happening.
Very good. Now, the notion that they're saying that they want to empower Gambians, like we saw Sidin Jai after the protest yesterday came out stating that UDP folks are the ones inciting the protest, and they say that why are they preventing Gambians of getting their national documents?
Okay. Well, I haven't watched that, but if he said that, I would say that number one, it's the Gambian citizens' responsibility, every individual responsibility to go find your document. It's not the responsibility of the government to get up and go find people to give them documents. That doesn't happen. So that shouldn't be happening. And they need to stop the blame game. Is UDP, is APRC, or whatever. Stop blaming the parties. You are in charge. The government is on the NPP, right? People elected them to govern this country. They need to do the right thing for the people and stop the blame game. They shouldn't be doing that. There are people in the Gambia that needs ID cards, could not get their ID cards. Why don't you give it to those people? And why are you traveling out using our resources when our hospitals are out there? Some people are sleeping on the floor. Some people are sitting on the floor. You can see a sick patient go into the hospital, don't even have a place to sit, but on the floor. Can you imagine? Leaving all of those people there and go find Gambians to go give them ID cards. Who are these Gambians? If they're Gambians, it's their responsibility to find their own ID card. They should have had ID cards before leaving. If they left without their ID cards, or they left where their ID cards got stolen or lost, go to the nearest embassy or consulate and report it there, and have them work with you. You fill out your forms and present your original documents from Gambia, or identification from Gambia, like a copy of your birth certificate or your birth certificate, to be able to obtain another ID card through the embassy, but not through our immigration. Our immigration should not be traveling out to do that.
Very good.
That's what I would say.
Now, at this point, what do you think about this election coming? This election 2026, how is it looking like? Because having this ID card issue and people having the perception of fraud already, that sentiment has already been established.
Yep.
What do you think the political parties would need to do to galvanize their bases and look at how to prevent fraud in this coming election? Because there's a lot of things happening. We have had Ablai Sanyang came out, a lot of things out. He spoke about how the elections were stolen. Yeah, he was one of the folks that were involved in burning those, voters.
I heard that, Chief. Yes.
All of that. So that notion and that feeling of election being stolen, how can the opposition party, how can they be confident that they could do something to make sure that there's no fraud, or at least fraud is minimized to determine our upcoming election?
Yep. So I'm going to start with a common saying, and they say, if you fool me once, shame on you, right? But if you fool me twice or three times, shame on me. That's the way I look at that. If political parties knew this was happening, or this has been it's been in speculations before. We've heard all of the rumors. We've heard people that talked about them before. So if they already know all of that, they should be getting up and coming as one team, okay, they need to fight this together, not individual ones getting up and doing this, their own thing. They can do individual, but when they come together and fight this, call on the National Assembly to stop it, then go to the court and file for the court to stop the action. And also write letters to ECOWAS and international communities and let them know this is this we've heard this has been a practice and we want to stop it. To advise the government to stop it. If not, it can bring a chaos into the country. And of course, the other question that you asked, how is the 2026 election looking like? I think it's going to be controversial. If all of these continue to happen, it will be a controversial elections, definitely, because if the incumbent wins again, people are going to say, this is exactly what they did. But I'm going to say, well, you knew they're doing that. Is published already. Everybody knew. It's not like one person is telling you. Everybody knew that they're going out to issue ID cards. So why don't you get up and stop it? Stop it. Go through the right channels. Follow the law and stop it. Whatever the law says, whatever powers you have, follow the laws and stop it.
The only thing is, at this point, what does the opposition party? What power do they have to stop it? They are not in government.
The power power they have is one. They need to, like I said, they need to come together and call onto the National Assembly. That's the first stop. They go to the National Assembly. Before even do all that, they could do either way. They can go to the courts. They need to come together and tell the courts that this is happening and it should not be happening. That's one. And then go to the National Assembly and tell the National Assembly to stop it. Those people can vote and say they can tell the president to stop it if they want to. But is a matter of taking legal actions, and legal actions usually will go to the courts. So they will go to the courts and have the court stop the act. That's it. Yeah.
All right. So another thing is that, according to what we had from Ablai Sanya, elections are usually stolen before the election dates.
Before the election. Yep.
So now, remember the last election, the voters, the names of the folks that were voting were all published, and the opposition party had the opportunity to ask questions or to probably go to courts and determine whether those registered voters are all Gambians or are definitely they are authentic. But they were satisfied with it to the point that we got almost close to 900,000 voters, which is unprecedented.
Yep.
As much as we have many people coming in. I mean, like many foreigners or many people coming to the Gambia, to have an electorate that is almost half of the population has never happened anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
So why would something like that be left alone, hoping that the opposition party could have won 2021 election because they have numbers on the streets, they have the people? Why do you think like that notion is still in the minds of this oppositional party, and thinking that they can unseat Barrow by just being okay with whatever electorates are out there?
Yeah, I think they have a lot of work to do, and work to do is similar to what they've done, just like I said last week as well, similar to what they've done in 2016. 2016, opposition parties came together, and I think they need to do the same thing, come together and bring all that will bring all their votes together as well, and go through primaries. And I recommend a presidential debate. Let the candidates debate so people can see who they are and know who they are, and pick the right candidate to be the flag bearer. Once they have the right candidate and all of their parties rally behind that person, there is a chance to beat Barrow. That is their chance to beat Barrow. And until they do that, they can still, but it will be very difficult to beat him. And I think, again, from what we have seen and what we are hearing, legal action need to be taken place first. Legal action need to take place to be able to stop the issuance of ID cards, and tell the government and immigration to issue ID cards to those in the Gambia, those who have submitted the documentations, they've submitted their fees and they got their receipts and they're waiting for their ID cards are the people that should be priority, and those are the ones that need to that the government is obligated to issue ID cards to, not people that are outside of the country. The government has no reason to get up and send our immigration officials out to issue ID cards. And again, I'll repeat the same thing again. Consistency is very important when it comes to leadership. If you're gonna do it for every country, that's one thing, but you cannot just pick and choose and go to some countries and leave the other ones there. That is discrimination. And we know the purpose behind it. So that's why legal actions need to be taken to stop. Yeah.
Correct. That's true. I agree. Now, the the issue of the ID card, usually when you are outside the country, and this has happened to me and probably some other people, your
Mm-hmm.
national document is expired. The
Yep.
embassy is always there to
Yep.
give you something that you can use to travel
Yep.
or you can use to identify yourself.
Yep.
So these people that they are going to recruit or to probably issue them ID card,
Mm-hmm.
did you, I mean, do you think, at some point they have lost, all these people have lost their document, or
I
it's
don't
just
think so.
this is just this is just a proactive operation to identify their Gambian citizenship?
Yep. Like I said, I don't think so. I think, again, this is something that we all have to look at. And like I said earlier, it is not the responsibility of the government to find people around the world who lost their ID cards and go issue it to them. That's not their responsibility. That's not their job. It's the individual responsibility. If you lose your ID card or it's expired, you find ways to renew it. You can wait until you go to Gambia and renew it. If you cannot go to Gambia because you don't have the legal documents to travel, well, you can stay where you are. Go to the nearest embassy or consulate and report that. You should have at least a copy of your passport, or take the expired document back. Just take the expired document there. That's a proof that you had this. It's expired and you want to renew it. Let them help you, let them guide you. And in fact, all of this, and I said this too also, all of this could actually be done if that's the case. All of this could be done with very little expense. And that is if the Gambian embassy or consulate announce that, or they don't even have to announce. Again, this is not their responsibility to find people that lost their documents and give them documents. It's the responsibility of the individuals to go to the embassy and file a claim that they lost their document or their passport or ID card is expired and they want to renew it. Then the embassy or consulate will give them the appropriate forms that need to be filled out with evidences of the expired document or any other document they have that's existing, and put them together. They can send them all in a diplomatic pouch. They can put them all in diplomatic pouches and ship them to Gambia. That does not require an airline ticket for any individual. That does not need any per diem. You put them in diplomatic pouches and you send them to Gambia. When they get to Gambia, External Affairs receive them and send them to Immigration. Immigration makes the passport and give it back to External Affairs. External Affairs put them back in diplomatic passports and ship them to Mauritania. When they get there, the people at the Mauritania embassy or consulate will contact these individuals, because at that time, when people go there to register or to claim that they lost something, the embassy or consulate will get all of their details: your name, your telephone number, how do we contact you, email address, where do you live, or where you're from in the Gambia. They should have all their details. So when the passports come back or the ID cards come back, they should be able to call them and say, come pick up your passport. Just that. They don't need to travel and spend
Right.
taxpayers' dollars, money to do that. When farmers were claiming that they did not get paid for the groundnuts that they sold to the government. When the hospitals don't have enough medicine, when the hospitals don't have equipment, tools, and technology that they need, and just the basic supplies, and a lot more where they could put our money in rather than paying for immigration officials to travel out, overseas. No need.
Definitely. And I want to complement that by mentioning this aspect of it. We had the issue of diaspora voting. That
Yeah,
could have even been, more fruitful to the Gambian populace and more
yeah,
democratic.
and that will include these Gambians that they're claiming are Gambians because
Exactly.
they're in the
But
diaspora.
they neglect that the diaspora voting, and they say they don't have the capacity. Now, somebody who said they don't have the capacity to register diaspora folks and get them to vote wherever they are now has the capacity to be traveling to the strategic places and giving people ID card. What sense does that make?
It
So
doesn't
that's
make
what
sense.
that's what I'm trying to say here. Something
Yeah,
is wrong somewhere.
yeah.
If this administration cares, and again, National Assembly, when you talk about National Assembly, we have to look at the makeup of National Assembly. Look at the candidate, I mean the representation there, and how many folks support the government on the National Assembly in the National Assembly when it comes to votes. So, in as much as national assemblies are there to be fair and balanced between the executive and judiciary, they are culpable in a sense because when you look at even the constitution that was thrown out a couple of times, it was thrown from their perspective, the way they vote. They couldn't meet the numbers to be able to pass those constitutions. So again, we have a useless National Assembly that is not doing much to the Gambian populace. So, in as much as like we want change, I think we want to also look at realistically how what kind of change we want to have. If you look at this issue of the actual voting, this has been echoed, and many countries has demonstrated that it could have used these resources to really go out and get those folks. Like you said, some of these people also they claim that their issue IDs would have been identified and also be given opportunity to vote. But they turn a blind eye. They say they don't have the capacity, they don't have the resources, and all of that. But now here you go. They have the resources to fly everywhere to do this operation. So it's very
Yeah,
hypocritical. And again, there's no political will there to make sure that like that's where people vote. But there's a political will, a political interest to get this ID card issued to strategic locations or strategic people. So I think we Gambians, I like the fact that demonstration took place because that is to echo the sentiment out there. It doesn't matter who organized the demonstration, as long as the demonstration makes sense. That is what is important. So that echo the sentiment out there, and of course, this government should know that they are under watch. Anything that like could be could be identified as fraud or scam will definitely they will be held responsible. I don't know how the political parties would handle this, especially if we have a coalition government. I go sorry coalition going to 2026. I don't know how and they're gonna look at this authenticity of those voting, but it's really important, to have resource allocation for that and look at everybody who's voting, their citizenship, how they became citizen, and whether they definitely are qualified. I think this needs to be looked at, vote by vote. It might be costly, but if they don't do that, and then of course get the tally of all the voters, come 2026, make sure that the voting are limited to that after everything has been approved by the opposition party or the stakeholders. Because if you let this government or this the ruling party decide for you, it will not be in your favor. It will never be in your favor because they are in power and they have the resources at their disposal. They can make a lot of things happen behind the scene. So the opposition party they have a lot of work to do and work together as a team because it's for the interest of the whole nation. It is not an individual party interest. If you want to stop this president from going to third term, you gotta be strategic about it. You gotta come out and present a case. You gotta come together as a full, fledged, powerhouse coalition, and you gotta really, be on the ground sensitizing people. So I will urge all opposition parties to put their differences aside and focus on the bigger goal, because no president should pass 2 terms. We already decided that after 2020, after 2016. Adama Barrow cannot fool Gambians again and again with with the 3 years, after with 5 years, after with 10 years, now after with 15 years. Who knows how the cycle go? So enough is enough. You cannot be fooled once, fooled twice, fooled 3 times, fooled 4 times. What are we? We need to ask ourselves. We need to have some balls and then ask ourselves, what are we as a citizen? So I think anything that anybody can think of, come out, bring it, do it in the right way according to the law. Go on the street, show frustration, show the way things are in our country that demands change. Because Adama Barrow said himself, his party is a baby that he's trying to babysit. That is his reason of running for the third term. Is that a good reason? That is a sick reason. That's not a good reason. Nobody thinks like that. If you really have the nation in heart, you want to worry about the nation, not your party. You have already been given the platform to serve through 10 years. Do you know what 10 years is, Sam? 10 years, a lot of things can change. The whole entire nation can be changed within 5 years. So another thing that you couldn't even think of. So we don't want to hear my party is what kind of mentality is that? That is like individualistic mentality, a selfish mentality, a mentality that is all about me and my people. And Gambia is not for that. Gambia is for everybody. So I think it's about time, our folks are awakened and they can look themselves in the mirror and say, we are not fools. We need to be strong. We are not going to be scared or worried. You know, we need the future of our children to be brighter, and it has to start now. Yeah. So this is the indication. This does not. This protest is to stop this issuance of ID cards abroad, and then focus on the real issues on the ground, making sure Gambians who are Gambian citizens are the ones vote for this election, not outside citizens. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And
So, yeah, moving on to the tribal politics. Again, the same sentiment. We have seen the political advisor of President Barrow came, and injected a tribal sentiment, which is all over social media, and that was not uncalled for. Everybody came out. I can say not everybody, but most people came out to condemn it. And if you look at since the time of Jawara, we don't have these issues. These issues started happening during Jammeh's time. But Jammeh knew that he is losing grip of power. He inflicted, he, he introduced the tribal sentiment in our politics, starting to divide people. And it looks like it caused a lot of problem in the Gambia. Gambian people, you can see one person who is related to Fula, Mandinka, Jola, Sarakule, intermarriages, and so forth. We never had those issues. You have even families that, are so close from different tribes. But Jammeh started putting everything out to demarcate all these tribal, lines and make everybody look at themselves differently. And now that Jammeh is out of power, the same strategy is being used by this administration to catapult themselves to power and then to stay in power. If you look at what the last election, days before the mobile phones came to speak about the tribal sentiment against Dabo, that was a prime example of such. So it has always been tribal, 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 just to scare the others and then to tell them that if this person wins, you guys gonna be leaving the country. Or if this person don't like this people, this he doesn't like this tribe. So this has really jeopardized our political thing. And to have such a statement from a political advisor to the president, who knows if that discussion has taken place, in the inner circle, the appointments of major positions, for heritage. So that was very uncalled for. Even you and I shouldn't be saying that, much more than somebody at that position. So we need to really understand that if we want to be in position to lead, we have to have people have confidence on what we have to put on the table. What do we have to present to the people and let them believe in it? That's what leadership is all about. You have to have a vision, how to get the visions accomplished, and who are you carrying to get there. But these people just want to be in leadership just for the hike of it, to have all the enjoyment they could, to have all the money they could, and forget about the very people who put them on power. So I think if they are true confident of their own self, put the tribal politics aside, focus on issues, discuss how people's life could get better, and convince them to vote for you in a manner that they can entrust you to lead that office. Sam, you have the floor on that.
Yep, thank you, Dr. Sawaneh. Definitely. Before I get into this part that you just mentioned about tribal sentiments and things like that, I wanted to add a little bit to you brought up diaspora voting, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. I want to say a little bit on that, and just for the record, I wrote a proposal about that, and I actually emailed IEC and told them I have a proposal. If they don't know how to do it, I'll tell them how to do it, how to register Gambians in the diaspora, all Gambians in the diaspora, without even leaving the country. They can do it online. There's a great way to register people online, and people can vote. I have a proposal, and I talked about this on my in my group as well. So, I think the question is, are they really willing to do it, to register people and not give us the excuse of it's too expensive? Are they willing to do it? That's one. The other part is, if if uh, if they're willing to do it, do they know how? The know-how is important. Do they know how to do it? What to do? Well, I gave them the opportunity. If they contact me, I will share with them. I know the last time I checked my email, I have not seen any response from IEC. So I'll put it that way. But
You
we
will
don't.
never, you
They
will
don't.
never.
Well, probably never, right? Especially if they don't want to do it. If the government doesn't want to register the people in the diaspora, and I will not hear anything about them. I will not get any response. But it makes it unfair to get up and go to certain countries and register those people. I mean, you're discriminating people. You're not treating people unfair treatment, basically. You're not treating people in the diaspora fairly. So if they are truly going to register Gambians in Mauritania, Angola, and other African countries, then they're not being fair. So that's that. But getting into this other one, yes, I heard on the news that Sehun Balo made some comments about the Fullers and the government and the Fullers and things like that. Um, which really has no place in our government. These travel lines that they take sometimes, they have to be very careful. I won't go too much because I not only I heard it on the news and what was said and all that stuff, but he also issued an apology to that. So since he apologized, now that's an indication that he knew that he was wrong. He admitted he was wrong and he apologized for it. So it's done. But one thing I'll add to that is government officials need to be very careful how they get involved in politics and make comments about politics. I mean, they should focus on their jobs. Focus on their jobs and do your job. If you don't know your job, tell the president you don't know what to do. You let him get you out of there and get somebody else. So the incompetency also is in the government. I've mentioned this before. There are people in certain positions that they're not competent enough to have those positions. There are also people in the wrong position. So I think it's a problem of the government. This is part of the reason why we're seeing people coming out and making public comments about things that they shouldn't be saying at all. They really should not be saying. And if you think about it from a professional standpoint, from a diplomatic standpoint, someone representing a government, I mean, really, you should have more actions rather than words. They should have more actions rather than words, and leave the government spokesperson to be the government spokesperson. Let that person talk, and the rest of the people just do your job. People elected the president to come and govern the country, and the president appointed them into those positions. They need to come and do their job. If they don't do their job, the president also should well, of course, has the right to appoint them, but he has the right to dismiss them, get them out of there, and not embarrass the whole country, not embarrass and not also make implicating comments and things that are very sensitive that will bring tribalism into the picture. And when you do that, then that brings discrimination, and people see unfair treatment. Why are these people better than the other people? And because when it's time for elections, uh, there was nothing about tribes. Everybody voted. You have every single tribe in the country probably voted to get the president there. So the president should go with the mindset, and all of his people that he appointed should go with the mindset that we're here for the people, not for any certain individual group. No group is better than the other. No tribe is better than the other. They are all one people, one Gambia. We should serve the same people and equally treat them right. That's what they need to do in the environment, in the positions that they're in. So I would just wanted to add that there. But thank God that Sekumbala came out and apologized and issued a statement about it. It was uncalled for. There was no place for that in any government, not even in an office. Even in an office, even in a company, a small company that hires people, then no one should come out of there and make statements like that. It shouldn't be happening. So it was wrong. It was wrong. A lot of people condemned it, just like I did. We all condemn it, but because he apologized for it, at least he admits he was wrong. We move on.
Right.
Yep.
Move on. We
Yep.
move on, and we gotta move on. But we just
Yep.
need to understand one thing: don't fight your way to the office,
Yep.
or get your party, get into the office because you want to divide people. If you want to, put a tribal issue as a sentimental thing, just because you want to divide and conquer, it's not gonna work now.
No, it's
It's
not.
not gonna work this time because people are not fools. Because if you look at, President Barrow hiring foolers at strategic ministry positions or high positions, what has that changed life for the foolers in the Gambia? It has not. So
Exactly.
what are you trying to instigate? You know,
Yeah.
so you are not. You're basically just fooling those who don't know. It doesn't change anybody's life. Like no specific village or area has been changed because they are foolers. So because we are
Yeah.
all intertwined, we are all intermingling. You rather when you change, you build a highway, Buckingham Highway or any highway. Is that for any particular site? And beside, you might be full of, but others might have mixed backgrounds. They're gonna be offended because they are from one tribe to another tribe to another tribe. So you mentioning only one tribe has been favored, and those people shouldn't worry or scared. That is to galvanize, one side, and that's not
It's
even it's not
yeah.
even good. It's not even good for the for one tribe.
Yeah. It's even bad for the president because if it goes like this, the way he presented it and the way it was said, if all the other tribes say okay, if they all come together and say okay, they're here for this other tribe, not us. Well, let's not vote for them then. We let that tribe vote for them and see if they will win. Are they going to win? Most likely not, because the tribe that he is saying that that he was supporting, that tribe doesn't form a majority in the country, right? So they don't pull a majority. If all the other tribes come together, they can easily win the
Exactly. So
presidency.
so so
Yeah.
so so
So
this is
it's
this
bad for
sort
the
of thing. Is
president. It was a comment that really is bad for the president himself.
and then to say that he apologized. Let me tell you something. This has even happening over and over again. They knew exactly what the game plan was. It's just that this time they were caught. The game plan didn't land where it's supposed to land because people like us, we are all over social media talking about it.
Yep. Yep.
It's not a personal thing. And like I said, the man is a decent man. Works
Mm-hmm.
hard. I know him,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew him before, and then he's a nice person.
Okay.
Well, I would like to have dinner with him on the dinner table and so forth. No
Mm-hmm.
issue at all. But
Yep.
that the position that he holds,
Yep.
and then like the timing, and of course to talk like that, I mean, it's just out of proportion. He might have apologized as much as he can, but this should be a precedent set so that nobody, no other clueless politician will
Yep.
come and then speak like that. It is just to clear the air or to make him pay, you know, by
Yeah.
addressing the issue so others can distance themselves because it's gonna come. It's gonna fly by somebody else. You remember
Yeah.
when Ismail Ceesay said that when you do kill men tam will bani fatamu Gambia.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of comments, you
Yeah.
know, that is uncalled for. You know, just because somebody is against your leader, who is really really not doing well in any form or shape, it shouldn't make you to take things personal to the point that you are insulting or kind of degrading others. So that's why this time around, anybody, if an ordinary person say it, maybe you can just let that slide. But if a person in power, in position that represents the people, say something like that, they should go after the
Public office.
tooth and nail. Yeah. So
Yep.
your final thoughts. Your final thoughts about this
Yeah,
whole.
no, I totally agree. Anyone in public office really should understand and know that they're there for the public and not for the president. Yes, the president may have appointed them, but the president is the one that people elected to work for the public. So the president is serving the public. You should join the president to serve the public. Don't go against the public. And they need to know what to say and things that they shouldn't be saying or doing. Instead, focus on their jobs. But I see that. This is again another indication, not the only one, not the first, not the second, another indication of incompetent people in the government. If you think about it, from the ministers going down to embassies, people fighting in embassies, people doing corruptive actions in embassies, people doing different things that all came to surface, all came to social media in different embassies. We all know. And it's just a bad it's a bad stage. It's bad for the government. It doesn't say very well on the government and the government's selection process. I'll put it that way: selection process. I think they're selecting the wrong people. That ends up coming out to backfire them. That's what that is. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you so much. So, in order to conclude our today's source, since we don't have a guest today, but definitely ID card issues should be well scrutinized, and Gambian political leaders, especially the opposition party, should take it upon themselves to look at everything going on in the country. Don't look at it like elections are stolen and sit down. No, if you look at Liberian election, where George Weah lost that election, it was the opposition that stood up. They make sure that they have their own online. I mean, before prior to the election, they scrutinize all the votes, make sure eligible people vote. There might be there might be room for error, right? For some little fraud here and there, but not substantial enough to switch the electorate. So we need to look at that as opposition. Oppositions need to work on that. Let us not go. Let us not focus on big rallies. Let them look at the way people are registered, because elections are won before the election day. Most of these things happen. The election dates are spot counting. These folks and these incumbents, they understand on the spot counting they might not have the capability to steal elections there. And once you do your homework prior during the registration and making sure that the published names are all scrutinized, because it requires money and time, are all scrutinized to be legal Gambian voters based on the way they acquire their citizenship to vote, and of course how. If those things could be identified and then approved, then the next step is during the election day, they need to have routers and internet connection everywhere, every polling station, and get every opposition should get their folks there. Once the election is counted, you have an online IEC station for the opposition that will be operable. Anything that comes in, you tag it in. You know, let's say Badibu area has this, Lower Badibu has this, the president and the ruling party has this, the opposition coalition has this. It's tallied. Each polling station. Once that is available, before the IEC would announce the result, the opposition would know where they stand, whether they win the election or not, because all the election results, including the incumbent, will be tallied in an independent IEC that's different from the IEC. So this is how Liberia did it, and then that's why an incumbent lost an election there, because it was fair and square. So Gambian opposition need to seriously stop talking. Don't pay attention on what Barrow is saying, or all the tribal insults they're throwing at you, or all the other stuff that they're saying, trying to throw you off. Focus on where the real deal is. The real deal is at prior to election and the election day. Have your online IEC with strong internet connection, everybody reporting. But to say that I send my guy in the police station, they give him coffee and he fall asleep, or they put something in their coffee and they fall asleep, or they bribe them under the, who's gonna accept that? I mean, these serious candidates, serious parties have to invest money, and then make sure the people are there, the human resources is available, and they put trusted people. So everybody you put on the polling station need to be trusted person for that particular opposition party. So that's how you win elections. So two with two face. Before the election, you have to do your homework, spend money, scrutinize everything. If you have doubts, bring it up to the courts so that could be revisited and we have a proof of those. I mean, 800,000 last time, I think, registration voters, 700,000, whatever the number comes to. You have so much time to work on making sure that who are those people, where are they from, how do they get their thing. If this is the West, if this is the Western world, they will do it in a minute. They go over files and make sure that they solidify and also scrutinize how people get their papers, or how people are really, whether they're really citizens or not. So unless and until we clear that, we cannot be talking about, oh, they brought a truck of people from Mauritania the following day and came to vote. Yes, they might be bringing a truck of people to Mauritania, from Mauritania or from El Salvador or anywhere in the world. But if those people are citizens and they acquire their voters in the right way, so be it. They should vote. So the key here is, it's not about what the people who are coming in. Are those people who are coming in eligible to vote? Have you do your homework on them? Who are there? Who are these people? Get their name published. I know it's a lot of work to do that as an opposition party. This is the kind of thing that we have to be engaged with in order to win an election. And on the day of, get your guys there. Each polling station. How many polling stations are in the Gambia? Why is it that a serious political party, not able to have bodies, two people at least in those polling stations, and provide them strong internet connection to be able to communicate directly to an online station where they will be reporting their numbers. That would be, you compare that numbers to the IEC. If the IEC numbers are different, then they screw up. Then their numbers screw up, and then the country can go into protest and protest the election. So this is how things operate. We need to be serious about our country in order to really have proper leadership. Because if you say democracy, you need somebody that people approve to put in position of power, not somebody who's going to cheat himself into power. No. So this is what I want to say as a final note. Gambia has another opportunity with this 2026 election coming. We need to showcase that. We need to be sensitized. We need to know that buying somebody right back of rice or cooking pot does serve well to trade your votes. We need to look at the individual, like you said. Let them come for national debates. Why can't you have these leaders on national debate? Why can't the president come on a national debate and debate everybody else he's contesting against with to prove himself if he's really doing a good job? You know, not to say that I don't participate in debates. Then who are you? Then how can you lead us? People want to know what substance you have, not like what somebody wrote for you or what somebody idea that somebody say. No, we want to know what you know standing on your feet. What can you offer Gambian people standing on your feet? Not somebody whispering you, telling you do this, do that, do that. We don't need that kind of leaders. We need leaders who can use their brain at the blink of an eye to be able to solve a national problem. That's why we fail. So we need to have that debate and choose our leaders. And once we have that debate, the Gambian people need to open their eyes. Don't look at somebody because I'm from the same party or I'm the same tribe or is my brother. No. Based on the substances, based on the issues and the way they're going to go about tackling it for the benefit of common good. So our political maturity need to be at another level. By now, 50 years, 50 something years after independence, we cannot be acting like, primitive people. We cannot. We need to look at everything from a distance sight. So I urge all Gambians to really pay attention to this upcoming election. Let's make sure that all the pockets are closed. Let's make sure that this issuance of ID card is well scrutinized to those people. Let the results come out, just like how the Jammeh's property, how the Gala people forced those names to be coming out, and then how much those properties were sold. Is the same thing should be done with this ID card to scrutinize who they are. And moving forward, all the electorates need to be looked at, even you and I, to make sure that we are eligible to vote. And once we do that preparation, then like I said, the last stage is the election day operation. And then we will have a fair and square election, because Gambian election use marble is the most accurate form of election in the world. So if we do that properly, we will have the right leadership, and Gambian people choose. And case closed. So thank you so much, Sam, for your time, and I just wanna lament on those things that key areas, so that maybe our listeners could benefit from it. But moving forward, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here with you today as well. So, yeah, this is an important topic, and I think Gambians will really look into it and take it at heart. And knowing that we need to move our country forward, we do not want anybody, any leadership that will hold us behind. We need to be moving forward, and two-term limits should be in effect and should be something that we should all be looking forward to, and not allow one person to rule us for what happened in the past. What happened in the past, we've seen that. It did not favor our country. We should not allow it to happen again. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Our viewers, thank you so much for watching, And we will catch up next week, inshallah. Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
inshallah.
All right. Have a good day.